Hey everyone, hope you're all having an amazing time during your quarantine. I know I am. Not really. I was bored and I wanted to make a cooking video, so today I'm gonna be making my favorite food of all time, steak. This is a USDA choice ribeye steak. Ribeyes are located at the upper part of the back of the cow, closer to the shoulder, where you're gonna find amazing tender cuts of beef. After you pat your steaks dry with a paper towel, or if you're just trying to save during quarantine, you can leave it as is, you wanna salt your beef. A good trick is to salt your steaks a day in advance. This is a process called dry brining, in which the salt draws out the juices through osmosis, creating a drier exterior, giving the steak a good crust, and dispersing the inner juices to make it even juicier, and more importantly, allows the salt to penetrate deeply into the meat. Ideally, you'd want to use an oven rack to get air circulating underneath the steak, but if you're like me and you don't have one, just place this uncovered in your fridge for about 24 hours, or up to 1 hour if you don't have as much time as me. So while we wait for our steaks to brine, we can begin preparing our basting butter, another great way to enhance your steaks and clog your arteries. I start with a whole stick of melted butter. You can just stick it in the microwave to melt it. I chop up some fresh herbs like rosemary and pick some fresh thyme leaves as well. Not too much, I don't want to overpower the butter with too much herbs. And I add about 4 cloves of crushed garlic and seasoned it with freshly ground black pepper. No salt though, the steaks are already seasoned with the perfect amount of salt, so I don't want to over-season my steaks. And you just want to mix it up, and there you go. You got compound butter that you can use to baste your steaks. Alrighty, 24 hours later, and you'll see that the surface of the steaks are much firmer. I use my paper money to dry off the steaks once again to get them as dry as possible. This will really help in the end to make the crust a lot nicer and easier to make without overcooking the steak. I season them with freshly ground black pepper and garlic powder. Do not put salt. Remember, the salt has already absorbed deeply into the meat. It's really important to not overseason your steaks. Alright, time to grill. I'm just putting in some charcoal. Don't put too much, otherwise your steaks are going to be burned before it reaches the correct doneness. I'm going for medium rare. Also, don't put too little charcoal, otherwise the coals are going to burn out before your steaks are done. If it's too little, you can always add fresh charcoal to give the fire an extra boost. Make sure to grease your grill grates. If you don't have the type of oil that you can just spray on your grill, here's another way to grease them. Get a paper towel, soaked in some olive oil, and just wipe them across the grill grates. Maybe wait for the fire to not be so high like mine's. I was just being impatient and wanted to eat already, so without further ado, let's grill these steaks. I'll be grilling these steaks by flipping them once every minute until I get a nice crust and the internal temperature reaches 130 degrees Fahrenheit. And not forgetting to brush my steaks with butter. Let's go! Alright, I'm gonna make a simple side dish of some sauteed green beans. I blanch them in salted boiling water for about 3 minutes and shock them in an ice bath. Meanwhile, I quickly chop an onion up. I put some olive oil in the pan along with the onion and cook those till they're just about soft around the edges. I add in a few cloves of crushed garlic, and I place in the green beans and I stir them around the pot until they're just about reheated. I season them with red pepper flakes, some kosher salt, freshly ground pepper to taste, and finally deglaze the pan with some white wine and allow the alcohol to burn off. Alright, time to eat. Oh man, that looks good. Yeah, the steak looks a little overcooked in the lighting I'm in, but I promise you that steak is insanely juicy and tender. No surprise, it's amazing! Well, I hope you guys try the recipe at home while you practice self-isolation, and meanwhile, I'm gonna isolate myself in my room and eat this by myself.